Howdy, folks. Well, wait a minute. You got to have the immediate. I set the points on this myself. She's got to start off real quick and easy like that. Push button drive. Look here. That's called jukebox drive. So even in the 60s, they had this. You pull it out of park. That's neutral. There's reverse. Is there a sign behind us?
There's the do not enter sign, but you should be.
Well, I entered, but it'll be all right. We'll just go over everything. You have the right of way when you're in this car.
That's right.
Unless people are in them. It's a boat.
How long is it?
We measured it. Let me think now. I want to say it's 21 and a half feet long.
You can
bumper
feel
to
it.
bumper.
You can feel how long it is when you're in it.
Yeah, this thing, I mean, it's huge back here. Katie, you look like a kid sitting back there.
I feel like a kid. It's big.
This is also this is Mr. Drysdale's car off Beverly Hillbillies, a 1963 Chrysler Imperial. Look here, electric windows.
Wow.
These are electric.
Oh my gosh.
Electric seats. Factory air car. I gotta get it fixed.
It has a cigarette lighter back here.
Cigarette lighters in the door. I mean, come on. This is the
ashtray.
60s. Dear God, man.
I love it.
I love it too.
I absolutely love it.
And of course, you gotta have your music.
Oh,
The
yeah.
60s music. Little Brenda Lee.
Little Brenda Lee, that's right.
There's an automatic dimmer for the lights.
Wow.
Little sliding bar for your speedo.
Wow.
Look at here. Watch this.
Oh, man.
This thing will stay right on. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Get up and go.
Open up the 4 barrels of freedom. These were all hand built by Chrysler. They lost money on every one of these cars.
Wow.
Chrysler in the 50s, the problem with, and that's my 47, and you can see it, some other, maybe we'll shoot another video with it.
Yeah.
In the 40s, the Driving Miss Daisy car, that's at 47 I've got, they had this high roof line, and Chrysler was very conservative with their styling because in the 30s, they were innovating. They came out with what's called an airflow. And the car, and it favors a Volkswagen. Of course, all the Chrysler fans out there, and I'm one of them. Don't shoot me over that. But it was very aerodynamic, and there was actually footage, and you can see it on YouTube, where they run that Chrysler Airstream or airflow over a cliff, and it tumbled over and over and over, and then it landed back on its wheels, and they started it up and drove it off.
Wow.
Yeah, it could dissipate the crumple zones, all that good stuff. Well, it didn't catch on. It was ahead of its time. And so after that, a man by the name of K.T. Keller, who was basically in charge of Chrysler, said, never again. We're not doing anything outrageous. We're going to stay conservative with the styling. And Mr. K.T. Keller said that a gentleman could wear his top hat in a Chrysler. And so they had them high roof lines. They were the last car company to style up, and General Motors got ahead of them in the 50s. And so they hired a man by the name of Virgil Exner to restyle Chrysler, and they called it the $100 million look and the forward look. And so longer, leaner, lower. So they lowered that roof line. They made them wide, longer, leaner, lower, wider. And so with Imperial, one of those things is up through the 50s. They made a separate facility for Imperial to take the business away from Cadillac. And it says Chrysler nowhere on this car. It's Imperial.
Wow.
And you didn't just go buy an Imperial. You ordered one. You had to order, you had to order it. And you picked out the colors you wanted. And they were hand built. They were hand built. And so that was a status thing. And Imperial Chrysler had these ads, and again, you can look them all up, where they were taking a round of Imperials and they were going to see doctors and lawyers and whatever else that owned Cadillacs, and they would give them an Imperial to drive for a week just for the endorsement, just to see if it was. And so they were losing money on these cars. 58 or 59 was the highest selling year for them. They sold really, really good those years. In the 60s, 1960 was a completely different model year. 61, 2, and 3 were very, very similar in the front, and they had gun sight taillights. And this is the last Virgil Exner car. they scale them gun sight taillights down to a small little fin, and then by 64, they were scaling them back and starting to share parts again because they just couldn't keep it up.
Yeah.
But Imperial, now that's the gentleman's car. You got an electric antenna out there. Watch this.
Whoa.
In the 60s, that was factory.
Wow.
This is really interesting because you don't realize kind of how far along.
Oh yeah.
When we start to think about modern vehicles, we start thinking the antennas built in. Even in the 80s, they were making antennas in the windshield.
Yeah.
So it's kind of impressive to think about, like, we all are guilty of, like, oh, 40s, 50s, 60s, it wasn't nothing but old wagons, you know?
Car. Yeah.
But this is really high tech for the
high
time.
tech, yeah. And right here on the radio, AM radio, and it works. But you see these little markers right here?
Yeah.
Those were stations to tune to in case of nuclear war. That's what that is. It's a little radiation symbol. If a nuclear bomb went off, those are the stations that would be broadcasting to tell you your
I'm
instructions.
getting like a what would you say?
Cold War.
Cold War vibes,
This
I
is
guess.
a John F. Kennedy car.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
These are
vibe I'm getting.
Kennedys. This is what they wrote
On
down.
some of the movies that are centered around that time, you will see this type of car, and sometimes they'll show like a nuclear testing place where they have a fake little town and fake little people to do some of that stuff, and you're just kind of getting this really funny vibe like that from this car. It's really cool.
Here's the air conditioner.
Oh,
There's your air conditioner vents.
wow.
Work it this way, and that's also your defrost.
Wow.
Also, your
Throw it back down, and it'll go to the.
Defrost. Wow.
This is just slick. The interior, you can tell, is all original, and there's not a rip nor a tear.
Yeah.
This thing is mint.
It's got 76,000 original miles.
Nuh-uh.
Wow.
Yeah. I bought it from the family that had it. They had the boy's grandfather had the dealership in Collins, Amarillo, or Collins was the name. It was in Amarillo, Texas. Collins Chrysler. And this is grandfather's car, the man's car that owned the dealership. And he gave it to the grandmother when the gentleman passed away. I mean, the grandmother got it. The grandmother run it till she passed away. Then the dad got it. And the dad gave it to the son. The son sold me the car.
Wow.
So.
Amarillo, Texas. I've been there.
Yeah. Big 413, it's got the engine in it the Beach Boys sung about.
Oh yeah.
But in this big old car, you know, you're about 5,800 pounds, so you know it's the Titanic.
Yeah.
I was going to do the seersucker, but I tell you what, this muggy June weather just won't allow for it.
It's pretty hot.
But it's pretty hot, but I like in the spring to get on my seersucker suit and bow tie and drive this thing up to Ranger up there at the school
Oh, I bet the kids
on Fridays.
love that.
They just have an absolute ball.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be a lot of fun.
I've done a few weddings with it too. Something Borrowed and Something Blue. Imperial Weddings by Griggs.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
You know, I mean, it works pretty good going down the aisle. Here we are. I'm serious, y'all need to drive this thing. It's an experience.
I'll drive it if you think I can.
Yeah, you
You can
can.
feel it on the road. It feels like you are in a boat.
You look like June Cleaver driving this thing. 1.5.
Our car, this is just, look at the trunk. Look at the trunk. The trunk is as long as I am.
There we go. Now I got
my
junk in here.
God.
Got a shop manual, but I got 3 of the 4 of them re-greased and they're rolling fine. That one's burned up and I can't find a window motor.
Oh,
But the
man.
way it's designed, that window stays up without the motor in it. There's a back click in there. This thing was overbuilt. It's a winch and pulley system and it's got clicks. Click, 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 and it stops. And then click, 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 click,
And
down it
down.
goes. And so that window will stay up
Without it in it.
without a
That's
motor in it.
interesting. Oh, that's good. I got it now. That feels better, much better. Taking this thing for a test drive. I'm not gonna lie when I say I'm scared. Which, like I said, surely
I've never ridden in the back seat of my own car.
surely if I can drive that truck, I can drive this.
Oh, of
So
course you can.
here's was my idea. What I would like to do instead of having to back out on the highway is
Just
to go
back
in
up.
there. Yeah,
Back up, just back straight around that way and then pull forward.
that's what I'll
Yeah,
do.
make you an L.
This is a weird way. Oh, you said upside down.
There you go.
Okay, now foot on the brake.
Uh-huh.
Boy, it's so smooth.
All right.
Does this thing have an emergency brake?
Yeah, but you don't need it. You got to
It's
ride.
not on.
All right, now park is this lever all the way over. Pull it straight up. There you go. Now put reverse in. Mash it in until it catches. There you go.
Oh.
Back up. Cut your wheel.
This thing's hard to see. I can't.
Oh.
I can't see back there.
All right, now turn your wheel.
Go up a little bit.
You gotta really stand on the brake on this
Yeah,
thing.
you're stomping 5,800 pounds of steel,
Yeah.
and they're drum brakes.
They are drum brakes. Okay.
You want to ride with us?
Hop in. Get in on the other side. Heck, you could fit 3 or 4 more people in here. I'm gonna need somebody to help me see. I won't be able to see.
Oh, we'll help you.
See what I've ever been in one of these.
Well,
Welcome, Dad, to the car.
all right, now catch the wheel. Back her on up.
I just really can't. There ain't no mirror over there.
No, that was.
It's
didn't
cool,
need,
ain't it?
You didn't need another mirror. Of course,
Should be
you gotta
enough.
have
I've
your,
got plenty of room now.
gotta have your shit
I'm
going.
gonna tell you right now, you do have to stand on the brakes. in This thing. This is a lap belt. Oh my lord.
Now mash on it.
Have mercy. This thing's like a boat. Feel it floating all over the road.
I gotta get
It
the
is
factory
nice.
air fixed. That's
The steering wheel is just like, you just barely touch
pull
it.
that horn ring to you.
Where's it
Down
at?
at the bottom, that little chrome ring.
I
that's
can't even look.
Bottom of the steering
bottom of
wheel.
the steering wheel.
No,
Now pull it to you.
the little ring down there on the steering wheel itself.
I can't look. I'm too focused on the road. Oh, this.
Don't run out of the road.
Yeah, I just gotta focus, everybody. I can't do it. I don't like this.
You're weaving like a drunk driver.
Do you know how hard it is to drive this? I'm gonna slow way yonder down now.
Oh Lord, I run 90 in this thing.
No! Do you know it's all I can do? I just can't hardly drive
This is the
thing.
way cars are supposed to drive.
No, I don't like this.
Oh,
It feels like
Cloud.
driving a
That
boat.
big car.
This feels like out of control is what this feels like. Is this worse than Pabst Buick? Yeah, you ain't never drove nothing like this. There's a Tennessee state
We're
brakes.
gonna turn around at the 68 split.
You gotta stand on the brakes on this thing.
I
I'll
had
tell
them
you right now.
rebuilt. They're good. You should have got them when I first bought the car. Pedal go
I'm
down
so
to the floor and
focused.
get this
I've
car
never been
invented
more
brake
focused.
fade.
Right.
I'm like on the focus zone. So hard I'm focused. I can't even
My
breathe.
wife
I'm not
won't even
breathing.
drive. She's scared. I
Whoa.
ain't scared.
Yeah.
I'm not scared, but it's
Scared
just
of
like
her.
this thing floats.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I thought Paul's Camaro was bad. This ain't nothing.
Spend a day or two driving this and you'd love it.
And
Oh, yeah.
you'd light fire to that Toyota you're
Absolutely.
driving. You
Absolutely.
wouldn't ever sit in that thing again.
Yeah.
And some days I already feel like I don't want to set foot in it again. But struggles is It really is a focus thing to keep this steering wheel from not bobbing and a weaving.
Oh, I let go. I let go of it coming back up the road.
I
It's
saw
scared.
that.
It'd stay in the road. You're just too scared. I had the whole front end rebuilt. That thing's got torsion air suspension. That's what they come in, torsion bars.
Yep.
This
Thing
thing
will
was
set
pretty
the road
good.
solid at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Not
Oh, I mean, it is solid on the road.
in
it's
fact,
just
there's YouTube videos of them in the 60s at the test track with this car or a Chrysler New Yorker with the same kind of suspension running 100 miles an hour, and the guy lets go of the steering wheel.
No.
Stay in the road. That's what they want. Torsion bars are big steel
Yeah.
bars that big around that are hooked to the bottom control arm of the wheel out there, and they run all the way back, and there's a big steel I-beam running right between the middle of this car, and it hooks into it and it acts as a spring.
Right.
This is my 68
Yeah.
split.
Turn it to 68 speed. You can go all the way to Knoxville if you want to, but your mama might not like it.
Might be late for supper.
All right, come on. Come on, I'm just gonna turn around. Come on.
Got it. Hear that torque flat go, grab first, go, woo, you know.
All right, look down there. Anybody see anything? Get my way. All right, am I driving now?
Yeah, switch over.
All right. All right, Corey.
Mash down on that.
No. Easy. Don't
Step
do
on
that.
that
Don't
good
do that. You be nervous about the steering wheel. You just wait. You'll see it floats like a boat. You might do better than I did. I was terrified.
Now, the secret to driving it is you put them eagle's wings right there on the white line. Side it up like a gun.
I told you. Easy now.
Hold her in the road.
I told you.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think,
my
Corey?
Lord,
That
this
big
thing.
impact.
Just go real slow.
So what do you say this bar did?
It's the horn.
Yeah.
What do you think, Corey?
This is really scary, actually.
I told you wouldn't like it.
It's like a boat. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna wreck.
You're not just focused on the middle. You gotta focus on being in the middle.
I mean, I might get used to it. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I didn't like that floating stuff either.
I mean, this is. I mean, how could you ever go more than 10 miles an hour in this?
I couldn't.
Some
Yo.
pretty girl driving this car make them old men's eyes fall out.
It's awesome though. You can feel the rear end of the car just feel. That's what's pushing you around.
Yeah.
Can't believe how much room there is
Oh,
in the
yeah,
back
look
seats
at
of
that.
ours.
These are footrests. Look here.
That's
See?
wow. That's got more room than an airplane.
Exactly. Well, you know, you've got your cigar and ashtray in the door. Good heavens, anything else is vulgar. You know.
They got a ladder.
That's right.
It does have a ladder.
I like the horn.
Corey's doing great. We are approaching the North Carolina line. We actually crossed into Tennessee.
Sad and lonely, have no place
To go.
Come to see me, baby, and bring along
Go honky tonkin', honky tonkin', honky tonkin' round this lane. Corey's a champ. Look at her.
This is fun.
Now,
I'm scared.
let off of it about right here and we'll roll all the way up to the shop. Watch this. This is 3/4 of a mile right here.
I ain't got my foot on the gas.
I kick this thing out of gear. I put it in neutral. When I top the North Carolina, Tennessee line on 64, it'll roll all the way back to Ducktown if you're making 65 miles an hour.
This thing is
Slow
still
down, hit that hill
moving.
and roll.
I hadn't touched the gas.
What kind of mileage you get?
12 miles a gallon. Now let your daddy drive it. He needs to drive it.
All right, Daddy, get in this thing. Ooh, man, you gotta
You
stomp
ain't
the
doing
brakes.
nothing
That's
but killing
tough.
time. Whip it on in there.
Woo! I don't know.
All right,
if I can
back
really-
in brakes.
Daddy'll be a pro at this right
Hold
here.
down back to 68 and turn back around and make the loop.
Wave at him as we go by. Bye, guys. We're not coming back.
Not coming back.
Y'all. Goodbye. We're never coming back.
Nick's like asleep. What do you think, Dad?
It's sweet.
It's sweet, isn't it?
I like it.
Look, you can tell like Dad does better because the vehicle isn't bobbing and weaving. There for a minute, I was really bobbing
That's
and
it. That's what
weaving.
your daddy learned to drive on.
yeah.
That's what I learned to drive on. Mine was 88 Dodge Diplomat with the same front end and 318, but everything by the 80s, Chrysler was in such bad shape they were reusing their parts from the 60s and the 70s, kept the same technology.
Wow.
Very little difference in this car versus an 80s Dodge rear-wheel drive V8 of the same calories, just cut way down.
Wow.
Smooth. Yeah, whip it around and take us back home, Snurdly. I do feel that I need a sip of brandy.
Oh, yeah, this thing is sweet.
Pardon me, sir. You have me gray poupon.
It's wild. It's got that oblong steering wheel.
I know.
Yeah,
I
well,
like
see,
that.
that's for
Though.
convenience. That's so it doesn't obstruct your view.
Right.
And they didn't have to do tilt wheel because it wouldn't hit your
That's true. They wouldn't
hit
have to do
your
tilt
legs.
wheel.
And so they were experimenting. That was ergonomic steering wheel. It was for comfort.
I like it.
And so 10 and 2 is comfortable. Way
Yeah.
out here.
That's right out there.
It really is. Yeah.
I like the cigarette lighter.
Ashtray.
Well, my 4Runner has drum brakes on the back, disc in the front, and that truck has that too. And when I had it worked on, he said that the wheel cylinder, I guess that's what it was leaking in the back, and so he fixed it. But even my square body, which isn't anything like this, but even it drives a whole lot different than the newer vehicles. And Paul's Camaro drives a little bit pretty much like this, except it's just not near as big and as long. It's a pretty short vehicle.
That's what is Paul's, a 68?
A 69.
69. Those Camaros were built to run. I mean, that was a short wheelbase. It was a motor with a saddle on it. That's all it was. That's what it was designed for.
This is like luxurious.
This thing drives like a cloud.
This is like, that's a really good way to put it. The blue cloud is what I would call this thing.
But look at what we gave up. That's what kills me. There was such personality in these cars, and like I said earlier, you ordered one, and all in the name of fuel efficiency.
Yeah, and who cares
and
about that?
saving gas and all this stuff. People gave up their individuality in a car. People bought a car as a status statement. This was what you had. You had an Imperial. And like with General Motors, there was a car for every class you were in. Chevrolet was your entrance level. Then you had Pontiac, which was a little classier. It was a little dressier. And then you had Oldsmobile. Now Oldsmobile was solid middle class upscale car. That was, I have money but I don't want to show it out. You know, Buick was upper management businessmen, you know, them big Buick Roadmasters and all that stuff. And then if you just wanted to show out and be vulgar and do that Jerry Clower, look at them tail fins, you bought your Cadillac. And that was the thing. You was at every stage of your life, and Chrysler was the same way. You had Plymouth, which was your entry level, stripped down basic car, nothing, no frills, no whatever. It's just a nice car, but it still had big engines, and you could get that. Then you had Dodge, which was stepping on up. Then you had Chrysler, and Chrysler had 3 lines. Then they also had DeSoto. DeSoto was like their Oldsmobile brand, you know, moving on up. And then you had Chrysler, and not just Chrysler, you had Chrysler Windsors, and then you had Chrysler New Yorkers, and then Chrysler New Yorker was like the Buick Roadmaster. And then if you really wanted to step it on up, then Chrysler had Newport, which was the smallest one. So Newport, Windsor, and then New Yorker, and then Imperial was Cadillac.
That was
And
it,
that was how you knew you had arrived.
You could really, you're selling it. You're selling me on cars that don't even exist anymore.
Don't exist anymore, but that's the thing. That's
nice.
what we did. We gave that up in America, and it's a shame.
America give a lot of cool stuff up. In the name of progress, I don't call it progress personally.
No.
All right. I know.
So cool.
We're going to wrap this video up, Corey.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. God bless and keep you, and we'll catch you at the next video. Thanks to Josh for letting us drive his car. Thank you.